I heard somebody call it an upset, but how can you be an upset when you're a 3.5 point favorite?
Yeah, I said Thursday night that I thought Ole Miss would win the game. I didn't feel like, I didn't feel like we were the underdog in it. When you looked at LSU's offense, I just thought that through 4 games that Ole Miss was the better, more consistent team. Now that LSU defense is real. I think they're really good, but um, I just felt like it was a game we were supposed to win, and we did. And I'm like Lane Kiffin. I'm proud of the fans for treating it that way, not storming the field. Like it was,
That
it was the expectation, not the exception. I think is how he put it. And
that was huge. That was huge. I think we both. I text you and you was we was thinking the same thing. I was sitting there looking at the TV like, do not rush the field because if I'm not mistaken, last year LSU rushed the field on us.
they did. I think last year, and I know they did Dart's first year when we went down there.
So
I think we were.
so apparently the win for us is not is another win. It's 1-0.
Yeah.
That's how Tiffin looks at it. So big game, and it was a game that you had to keep your eyes glued to the TV because man, it was went back and forth. I've heard about LSU's offense. Um, Man, I hate the 3-man rush. I've been screaming it. I felt like that cost us last year in a couple of games where we could, and then we come down to a situation where we had fourth and game again, and boom, we give up the fourth down play. Matter of fact, LSU last year we had a fourth and game, and we gave up the fourth down play. But what did you see in LSU offense that people may not understand?
Well, I've seen on like Twitter and stuff. I've seen a lot of people like fire the offensive coordinator. Joe Sloan, I think that's their offensive coordinator, and I thought they did some good things. I liked how they kind of knew their offensive line was a problem, and early in the game when they were having success, you saw them run like now screens, a lot of quick game things to get the ball out of Nuss's hand and easy throws for him. But I just thought that as the game went on and their ability to not establish a running game, it forced them in situations where they had to push it downfield. And I don't know if it's a health issue. I've seen on Twitter where they're saying he's got that he is not healthy. I don't know what it is, but his ability to get the ball downfield, he underthrew one ball that should have been a touchdown. I just thought that outside of a play where a safety got turned around, they were pretty ineffective downfield passing. And then, they would hit some runs here and there, but once we got ahead, it kind of made them one dimensional to where they couldn't just run at us and things. And we were able to get pressure with a 3-man front. And, that kind of, I think once we started getting pressure, Nuss was definitely not the same after that. He struggled. He was seeing ghosts out there. He was getting out of the pocket as soon as he could. And, that's when you're hitting home as much as we were with a 3-man rush, that's not good.
The biggest stat I saw last night is that LSU went 2 for 11 on third downs.
Yeah.
If you're going 2 for 11 on third down, you're not having a good night. But the fact that they only mustered 256 yards, Ole Miss have the yard wise have the worst defense in the
Rushing
SEC.
defense. Yeah.
And rushing last night, LSU had 59 rush yards.
Yeah, and I don't know how big of a difference the starting back would have made for him. I thought the little freshman 22 they had, I thought he ran hard when he was in the game, but they did not. I don't recall many plays where they moved the line of scrimmage. Like they might have stalemated here and there, but Will Eccles and Xavier Harris, they
No,
they were
Eccles had
busting through
a
their gaps.
game. He had a game. I don't know if Houston being winless and inspired him, but Will Eccles had a game last. I think last night was his coming out party. Yesterday, I meant.
Yeah, he looked really good, and I thought that and I think that where we've seen trouble with this Ole Miss defense is how over aggressive they play. They're very aggressive, and that's why you saw a lot of success in the Reed game and stuff with Arkansas. And the fact that you didn't have that, they don't have that ability. They're, Nuss is not that mobile of a quarterback. I thought that played into our defense, our front seven. I thought that this was kind of, looking at it all week, I thought that it was just a really good matchup for us.
Front seven, you mean front three?
Yeah.
The
Well, I
one
thought
thing,
Daugherty played a really good game.
yeah, yeah.
I thought, and Deshaun Womack played it. I thought that we finally got something out of him where we had been talking about guys like Womack and Princewell having to come through. Those transfer guys that needed to produce. They actually were able to produce yesterday.
And tackling wise, we tackled better yesterday than we had all season long.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It wasn't a lot of broken tackles. Once they made contact, we was bringing them to the ground, and that was big. The one thing that really irritated me yesterday, um, Ole Miss had 14 penalties for 109 yards. LSU had seven penalties for 78 yards. I don't know. I don't know if there was SEC officials or not, but 21 penalties in a ball game. That to me that
Well, I think the white. If I'm not, I read this somewhere, and I don't know how accurate that report was. But I believe the crew from the Auburn Oklahoma game was suspended. Now the white hat with this crew is an SEC guy, but this was a Sun Belt crew that had been called up. It was my understanding from what I read. So,
well, let's
and they
just
were
send them
like,
back.
we're gonna make sure we're getting our call up today. We're gonna get our money's worth.
Send them back because the penalties and for Ole Miss to overcome that, to have 109 yards in penalty, to overcome that, and then the penalties that Ole Miss were getting were back-breaking penalties. These are first downs that's getting called back.
Yeah, we would have a chance at like 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, but instead we're in second and 1st and 20. Um, it doesn't really matter what's on the call sheet when you're in 1st and 20. There's just you're not scheming plays to consistently be in 1st and 20. I mean, it was like every time you looked, we were behind the chains because of penalties.
A lot of first and 20s, and like you said, you've been on the other side of trying to navigate negative yardage, and it's just for us to be able to get past it. And I was just so impressed with our defense, though. Now, I've never been a fan of the face guard, and it seemed like we're reverting back to the face guard. Uh, it's an irritating thing. I mean, I'm screaming. My mom was in there watching it with me, and I'm screaming at the TV, and she told me, "Well, I don't think he can hear you, son." But when you see the face guard, and you just like, man, just get your head around.
Yeah,
There's a
you got to
couple of
pick right
passes
there.
that probably would have been picked off if we had our head around.
Yeah, I thought that I said it Thursday that I thought if we got pressure on him, he would throw it to us, and he tried to. I mean, he really tried to throw it to us. But I thought the secondary overall played better. There were a few plays that they were out of position, but I thought they got some things out of like you know I would like what do you think the Fletcher kid's snap count was prior to the Kite injury? I feel like he was. I know I've got a lot to learn. These are still a lot of new names, but I thought he played really well. They started targeting him a lot in the second half, and I thought he played well.
Now, our good friend Caden Lee, you know how I feel about that. He had a huge fumble there, and I'm we recover from it, and I wonder do we bust open the game after that fumble? And he's struggling this year, and I'm wondering if he is he hurt. What's going on? Because this is not the same Caden Lee we saw last year.
I don't know. He does make up with it. He had a pretty big reception that with a long run after that, and then had the touchdown reception. So he kind of made up for it. But man, that was a killer fumble. You're talking about potentially going into halftime with a 24-7 lead. If he gets tackled and we go punch it in right there, that was thankfully it didn't kill us, but I felt like in the moment that was a lot bigger than it ended up being.
And to your point, like you just said, um, you know, Nussmeier is not a good thrower. You go up that much, now you have changed the game plan. They
Yeah.
can, even though they didn't run well anyway, but if I can just tee off on them, and like I said, our three defensive linemen, they all should share in defensive player of the week
Yeah.
because for three defensive linemen to cause that much havoc um, versus five, and don't a lot of people, oh, they had this person hurt and that person hurt. You're in the SEC, and if you're second if you're a second string in the SEC, you're probably starting in any other conference. So I don't buy, this hurt and that hurt. You're out there because you can play the game, and it's five of y'all. And if you're not able to block three guys, then I'm pretty sure that was a frustrating moment. And you could see just a lot of disorganization. The burning the timeout. It kind of reminded me of the year when LSU had that poor clock management and had a chance to come back and upset us, but didn't have the timeouts. And you could just see that the disorganization. Is Brian Kelly in trouble?
I would like to know what his buyout is because I think in this era,
Don't worry, we'll find it real quick.
I was gonna say in this era where with having to pay the players, is it worth paying that much to make a coach go away and then have to buy his staff out and then having to have the money to bring a new staff in too, is tough. So, but I would say it's not. I would say the seat's getting warm. In this era, 12-team playoff, one loss doesn't kill you. But if that's what they are offensively, I think they have more losses coming. So
They didn't look good against Florida, and we're going to look at their schedule in a second. At last year, his buyout was $61.7 million. I do believe, according to what I'm reading, they will still owe him 90% of his salary. But at that point,
that's a lot.
I get that, but fans, the biggest thing that I seen yesterday on the blogs on the board is $18 million in these players, and this is what we get.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It doesn't look good, but that's a lot of money to go tell. I think if there's one thing that we're going to see a reset on, it's these coaches' contracts. In this era, it's about to change. I just don't see how now knowing what we know about these roster numbers with the prices and stuff. The structuring of these contracts is crazy. So the seat might be warm, but for that price, I can't go past warm.
This is what LSU has. I mean, they get South Carolina at home, and to me, that's still a scary game. South Carolina is still. There was a reason that they was ranked in the preseason. They may not have accomplished what they need to accomplish, but it's a reason that they're ranked. Then they got to go to a red hot Vanderbilt team following week, and then they get Texas A&M at home. They get a pissed off Alabama team that feel disrespected from the world, and they're going to take it out on everybody else. They got to go to Alabama. They get Arkansas at home. They get a Western Kentucky, then they got to go to Oklahoma. So they have three very, very, very difficult road games in Vandy, Alabama, and Oklahoma. If they go 1-3 in that situation, they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
I would think defensively, that defense can carry them. They remind me a lot of Ole Miss last year, except we were better at quarterback. But I thought the way we struggled to run the football last year. But I do think, with that schedule, 9-3 is on the table, and you're not in the playoffs at 9-3. So.
None of the 9-3. And that's not acceptable. They brought him there to win a championship and be in the playoff contention. That school is not. They're not satisfied. And to be honest, we're getting to that point to where 9-3 and 8-4 is no longer sufficient. Ole Miss fans, we haven't won. We haven't been in the SEC championship. They were the reason we didn't have the opportunity because of a wide right field goal attempt. But if they go 9-3, the fan base is not going to be pleased.
No, they're not, and rightfully so. When you're donating this money and the boosters are out here, funding a roster, you expect the best, and that defense is good enough that if they could, piss a drop for better words on offense, they would, they should be better than that.
Well, let's go back on the other side of the ball. Let's talk about old Trinidad Chambliss. Now,
It's a bad man.
he threw his first pick yesterday, and it was a terrible pick. It wasn't a bad read. It was just him being greedy.
Yeah, I think that they had liked that matchup, and they went to the well one too many times. But I think that when he goes back and looks at the film, I thought he had a lane where he could run the football.
Oh
He
yeah,
could
he
put
was
it
there.
down and run, and um, I, you're going to turn the ball over at some point, and I'd rather him be out there pushing it downfield and the receiver had a chance. I mean, it was kind of a wacky play because it tipped it to himself, right? Wasn't that the one that was tipped to itself, or was that the
Yeah,
one that got
he
caught
took it,
that?
and
So
he
I mean, it wasn't like throwing it high over the middle and just completely missing. It was a competitive play that didn't turn out our way. So, but I thought, outside of that, he was fantastic.
one of the biggest things that everybody is saying about him that he haven't faced a top notch defense. He hasn't played a real SEC defense. Now, the 3 games that he started in Arkansas, he was 21 for 29 for 353 yards, and he had 60. And he also had 62 yards rushing. Against Tulane, 307 yards and had 112 yards rushing. But against a top-notch SEC defense, he had 314 yards passing and 71 yards rushing.
Yeah, he was he was elite, and he can do it in so many ways. Like the when LSU would be in that man situation and then backs turned, he could just pull it down and run it. They could scheme the quarterback run. They could read run game, and then he's very effective as a passer. So he can get you in a lot of ways.
I'm glad you said effective as a passer. Have we had a real legit runner that could accurately pass the ball?
I mean, Corral could move pretty good when he was healthy.
But
You know,
did he run like this?
no, I not like that. I would say like maybe Teamu because Teamu can move, but he tried. He was a passer first. Like he
Yeah,
was.
this Chambliss can cause some trouble. Now, what's going to happen now, which is going to be good for Ole Miss, is that they're going to have to designate a player to keep an eye on him.
Yeah,
And if you're rushing 4, and you got to keep number 5 to keep an eye on him, at that point he can. If you're only rushing 4, and our offensive line doing the job, it's going to take away a lot of blitzing now because you got
yeah,
to keep
and
an eye on him.
well, he's able to. The way if you were like, hey, we're going to stop quarterback run or try to mitigate that threat. He's good enough throwing the ball to hit in man coverage. He's good enough to um, extend the play and climb the pocket and get upfield when that pressure's coming. How many times did he just on third down? Did you see him kind of climb the pocket and then just
Yes.
take off? It wasn't like he was pushing it outside and trying to run. Like he's eyes downfield, climbing the pocket, and then able
Maybe
to
Lamar,
escape the
maybe
run.
Lamar Jackson need to look at that because his hamstring is hurt. Hamstring is the one injury that you really can't prove if it's hurt or not. But I'm pretty sure when you're down 30, let me call. I said I was going to come
Hey, we're
down.
focusing on Ole Miss right now.
Yeah, which I jumped
Easy,
over.
coach.
But
Easy.
but but Lamar Jackson needs to take notes. Climb up, and when it's not there, take off and quit trying to. Okay.
That's what I find most. That's what I find most impressive about him is because it's not like he sees pressure, so he's like, "Let's evacuate." Like, no, he's like, "I'm gonna step, climb." Like that's real quarterback stuff right there.
And the beauty, he gets one more home game before he has to hit the road.
Yeah.
So whatever they got that they're working on to try to make sure he has what he has, he gets one more home game to get it right. Is Austin Simmons now Drew Bledsoe?
Kind of makes you wonder. I'm not willing to go there yet because we've just, like I've said, we've seen when you're Kiffin's guy, like we believe Simmons is, he sticks with you. So until we don't have proof that that's not the case, but I mean, he's won over a fan base. He's winning over a locker room. He's I'm sure he's winning over a coaching staff. They all got bonuses for winning the SEC game yesterday, a big SEC game. I think it's starting to look that way.
Hard to go back, if it ain't broke, then while we're fixing it. Keyone Lacy once again had a decent outing. To have 87 yards against an LSU front line.
Yeah,
We rushed the ball. I was so impressed with our rush stats. I think on yesterday we had Ole Miss had 170 yards rushing,
yeah.
and that's
Lacey's
that's
effective.
impressive.
Lacey's effective as a receiver too.
Yes,
The
yeah.
one thing, the one thing I would like, if I had any complaints on the running game, is I think Lacey is like the north. He is a north south. Like I think that's when he's his best. If he can get his shoulders kind of parallel to the line of scrimmage and press
I
a
hate
cut,
him going east and west. I hate the stretch with
they
him.
love the stretch read. And I
Yeah,
get it because if you get to pull it, you got Chambliss inserting right there. And I think that,
but
but I
why?
think on
Why
those gives, I just don't think Lacey is as good getting outside as he is if we're hitting it north and south.
do you think? Let me pull it up. Do you think Deuce Alexander he just can't let him fit that stretch role and just keep Lacey that north and south guy?
They tried it. Um, and I know you won't play a LSU defense like that every week, but I just didn't think I didn't think we had much success with it, regardless if we weren't pulling it. So I don't know. I'm not a guy that I don't believe in running east and west. I'm a north south guy.
And then he got a good there's a good compliment back there with Logan Diggs. Logan Diggs had a big touchdown. I believe it was a third down, and I was just like, man, please get this because I don't want a field goal right here because I really felt like we needed a touchdown. And once he saw, he put his click to the ground and he got to the end zone.
Yeah, you could tell. I think the knock on him in camp was that the knee injury, he had lost some of that explosiveness, the speed in the open field. But I think he is your number. He's clearly moved from the number 3 guy to the number 2 guy, and he is a guy like if you need a yard, he can lean on you. So I was happy to see. I know that had to feel good yesterday, getting in the end zone against your former team that you transferred from.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. That's one of those special moments. It's one of those special moments. So the fact now that Ole Miss moves to 5-0, and they walk into a bye week, which is good. Injuries and now the way the game is now, you need that break in between college football. Now, for a fan, we hate it because we want to see them play every week. But I do believe that this came at a perfect time to get that right now. So looking into the future, Ole Miss gets gets a non-conference game against Washington State. They already set that time to 11:45 kickoff time, and then the next week they go to Georgia. Then we go to Oklahoma. We have back-to-back big games that if you let's just say this right here, Georgia, Oklahoma, you split those games and went out. What seed are we?
Did we win the SEC championship or lose it? Because if you split those games, you're one loss in conference play. I believe you're playing in the conference championship game. And I think the winner of the SEC is either the 1 or the 2 seed, and then the loser is probably the 5.
I wish the loser wouldn't be affected by the seeding, I wish the SEC championship or anybody's championship game would be a bonus and not a negative.
Well,
It's
I
almost like
think
an extra playoff game.
I think the loser of this, I think the winner is the one or the two, and then the Big Ten winner will be the one or the two, and then I think the loser of the SEC championship's the five.
Fine.
So I think you win the SEC if what you say happens, and they won it, I think they're the one or the two, and then if they were to lose a conference championship game, they're the five. But that's that's a
You
tall order.
you get those two games, and it's at Georgia, not looking over Washington State, and I'm pretty sure that our coaches will do a good job of making sure that the kids are focused. But you handle that next week, you're 6-0. Then you go to Georgia, and not a it's not the Georgia of 3 years ago. It's not the Georgia 3 years ago, but also on the flip side, you will be in Athens. And all of the check downs, and all the adjustments you're not going to hear
Yeah,
amongst the pitches. And you go to Oklahoma. So those two games are you. I do believe you got to win one of them. You can't drop both. Can you drop both of them and
and
still make
make
the
the
playoffs?
playoff. Yeah, you're 10-2. A 10-2 SEC team is not getting left out.
And
But
then
you
you
would
go,
have to
and
you would
then at
have
that
to win
point
out.
you're
There
out of
is
the SEC
no
championship.
there is no mulligan. You would be like I think if they went 10-2 with the losses on the road at Georgia,
In Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, and they come home and win out and then win the Egg Bowl, which I think's going to be tougher than people think. But you lose those two games. You go 10-2. However you get to 10-2, you get to 10-2. You're probably like an 8 or 9, and
And last year, the teams that benefited from the playoffs, the one that played, it's the buys. The teams that had the buys had the issues.
yeah.
So that's not a bad thing. So Ole Miss is 5-0, and schedule is looking good. You got that gauntlet back-to-back weeks, but then you get South Carolina at home. You get the Citadel at home. You get a Florida team, which is going to be it's going to be the same scenario as last year. It's going to be a trap game.
Yeah, except I think that somehow they're worse on offense. Your hope there is like if they give you as much trouble scoring as they did last year, they are not going to be able to score. So you get that. I think the benefit for Ole Miss is that these games are at home.
Yes.
I think Lane Kiffin's record at home is like 20. Is it 29-5 or something like that? Like he has a really good home record. Or maybe 29-5 is what they are in their last however many games. But his home record's really good, and you get these games at home, and then you get a bye. I think their last bye week's the week before the Egg Bowl, so you get a bye week before the Egg Bowl. The schedule shapes up to where if you don't step on a landmine, you've got a real shot.
I was trying to pull up his home record at Ole Miss. I wasn't able to just pull that up right off the bat, but man, he's going down. He's going to end up being. He's going to have a statue at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He, he's going to have a statue. I mean, his first year is 5-5. Then he was 10-3, 8-5, 11-2, 10-3. Right now he's 5-0.
Coach, that's 5-5 in an all like that's what I don't think 2020 should count because say he plays 4 non-conference games in 2020. That was an all SEC schedule. He's probably 8-4. He wins 5.
Won the Outback
Wins,
Bowl though.
yeah, and he went 4. So he went 4-5 in the league. So you add 4 non-conference games to that. His first year in 2020, he should have been, in a regular year would probably be 8-4. So I mean,
Well, that was the year that we didn't play any out of conference game or very few.
yeah. No, we didn't. We just played Indiana in the Outback Bowl. That was an all conference.
Okay,
The COVID year. We didn't travel outside of the conference.
so I mean, he's going to have a statue. He's going to have a statue at Ole Miss, no matter when he decides to leave, because he's going down as one of the best coaches in Ole Miss history. So 5-0 feeling. We here. Get used to it. Get used to my face with an Ole Miss hat on. Get used to me. I've spent years of losing. So, yes, I'm going to rub it in. I'm going to enjoy all of this. But let's take it down Highway 82. And the Tennessee Volunteers was able to beat the Mississippi State Bulldogs in overtime.
Yeah, that was a really good game to watch too. And I thought that Tennessee was going to blow it, at the end and not even have the chance to get to overtime. There was some clock management issues for Heupel. It was a weird ending, but I think you got to tip your cap to Jeff Levy and them guys at Mississippi State, because that's a team that plays hard. Like it never seemed like every time Tennessee threw a punch, they were throwing two punches. It just they played really well, and outside of a couple plays, I think they would have won that game.
I really think the defense got tired at the end.
Yeah,
I really felt that because for Tennessee, Tennessee was able to get the drive to tie it up, and then in the overtime period, it was almost like crap. You could see it in their faces, like let's get going, but it's still one of those things like we might have just blew an opportunity.
We had them on the ropes, and we kind of let them off the hook.
And team stats wise, Mississippi State had 378 total yards, went 8 for 19 on third down. Tennessee had 471 yards, and they were 5 of 14 on third down. Both teams rushed for 100. Tennessee had 136, but Mississippi State had 198 yards. So, but they only had 180 yards passing on 29 attempts on 18 completions. So, pretty balanced on their end. But you're going to have to, and the penalty was even. Tennessee had 6, and Mississippi State had 6. Possession. Mississippi State had 32 minutes and 23 seconds. Tennessee had 27 minutes and 37 seconds. So it looked like the defense just really I watched the tail end of the game, and it just looked like they had that look of crap, we let them off the hook.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Tennessee had like one offensive touchdown before the fourth quarter. Like they had Mississippi State made some mistakes on offense that led to defensive touchdowns for Tennessee. And, it's when you're playing that underdog role, and you got to play against a team like that, you can't make those mistakes.
Easy to bet with house money. Just looking at Mississippi State's schedule, they do go to Texas A&M this weekend, which is that's going to be now. That's going to be a tough place. I mean, that's a tough place to play anyway. That's going to be a tough one for them. They go to Florida, and even though Florida's offense is horrible, it is at Florida. Then they play Texas at home. They go to Arkansas. They get Georgia at home, and then they go to Missouri. So they have a very difficult schedule ahead.
A brutal schedule.
Say again?
It's a brutal schedule because it's not like you get it'd be nice to get Florida at home or A&M at home to have a chat, because I think at home Davis Wade is a home field advantage. You could
their home games are not favorable. You got Texas at home, Georgia at home, Ole Miss at home.
Yeah, and if you could get a Florida or something like that at home,
as if this was split,
one of them games.
You had Texas A&M at home and Florida at home and Missouri at home, then it looks a little, well, not Texas A&M, but at least Florida and Missouri, then it looks a little bit different.
Where's the Arkansas game at? Which they're going to beat Arkansas.
Yeah, they're going to beat Arkansas anyway. I don't feel like Arkansas is in shambles right now, and I don't think they will. Now, granted, they're going to play hard. They're going to play for their jobs, or they're going to play for whatever school they want to transfer to, but I just don't see State losing that game. I do believe that they could beat Florida. I feel like
I think so too.
With the way Mississippi State is not, even though they theoretically supposed to play fast, they really don't go that fast. They're not in race car mode.
Yeah, and Levy's always been able to scheme a good running game for you. You think of his time at Ole Miss, but in that three-headed monster of a backfield, they are a team that can they can beat you in multiple ways. If they got it all going, they can. They believe in running the football. I think Shaping's good enough to get you. So maybe if they can get that Florida game, get Arkansas, I Georgia, A&M, and Texas. That's tough. But
What's up?
if I mean to get
Awesome. What's up?
if you got those two games and then the Egg Bowl, the Egg Bowl's the Egg Bowl. Like it could go any kind of way.
Either way.
Uh, the fact that you're sitting there talking about 6, 7 wins for what they believed, what the media and everybody believed this could be, I think that they've done a heck of a job.
Yes. Yes, and that right there boosts recruiting right off the bat.
And no one talks about the fact that the commitment that they've made to baseball takes away from your foot, in this era,
Yes.
takes away from your football program. So the fact that they're able to overcome that, is I just think they've done a heck of a job.
Well, let's go ahead and round out the rest of the top 25. On Friday night, Virginia upset Florida State in double overtime. Arizona State pulls out the win against TCU, which was a shock to me. So that was two teams in the top 25 that dropped. You had Ohio State doing their job, beating Washington 24-6. A double overtime thriller, man. It was some awesome games. Oregon and Penn State.
Yeah.
And I thought Penn State had switched up, had got the momentum on their side. They drove down, tied the ball game. They came and they scored first and come down to a fourth down. And if you make that stop, you got that win. But Oregon was able to punch it in. And then when you went into the second overtime, Oregon got the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. And on the very first play of the second overtime, Penn State threw the pick. So Penn State drops to 3-1. Oregon is now 5-0. Alabama. Is Alabama back, or did they go anywhere? Did they just go to the back room and really didn't leave? And everybody was talking about them, and they could hear. You know how it is when you go to the room and everybody think you're left, and you can hear them talking about you. Is that what happened? Alabama, everybody talking because they thought they had left the house.
I think so. I think that they just walked into a buzzsaw week one and kind of got exposed. But I really like Ty Simpson. Like I thought he was a gamer last night. And they just kind of stymied Georgia offensively. And Georgia does what Georgia does. We've seen where you kind of saw it last year. I think Alabama kind of blew the game open early, and then Georgia just goes on a tear to get back into it, and then Alabama stole it at the end last year, and it was kind of they got back into the game, but they couldn't get over the hump and win it.
What if? Because I'm looking at Alabama's schedule right now. They got Vandy at home this weekend. I don't think Vandy will be able to. Vandy's having an awesome season, but I don't believe they'll go into Bryant Denham Stadium and beat Alabama. They got Vandy at home. They go to Missouri. They got Tennessee at home. Go to South Carolina. They get LSU at home. They get Oklahoma at home, and then the Iron Bowl. What's the likelihood of Alabama winning out?
I think it's definitely on the table. Getting that Georgia game kind of sets them up to make their run now. They've kind of. I don't think that in their mind they would have said like, "Hey, if we can trade a win at Georgia for a loss at Florida State and even it out, we'd be back on." I don't think that's how they thought about it, but that's where they're at. But now winning that game puts them back in position to make that run. I may be foolish for saying this. I think if there's a team to watch that I'm just a little curious about, is Missouri. Like you got to go to Missouri. Drinkwitz has done a really good job there. I think they have the exact same record as Ole Miss over the last 3 seasons. I think they've done a good job. Going there. If there was one that that's left that I think could be a stumbling. I'm kind of curious about that one.
Missouri kind of. I'm not sold on them yet. I'm not where you at with them. I feel like Missouri is a benefactor of being in such a strong conference. I think they. I don't. I feel like once they have to fight within their conference, I think they're going to be exposed. I may be wrong, but I just feel like now I haven't watched a lot of games on them. Just a couple of things that I've watched and I looked at. I just feel like they're getting a lot of benefits. Let me just. I want to. I want to look at
I thought
this.
they looked really good in the once they kind of settled down in that Kansas game. That's really all I've watched, and I was just like, they've got the pieces. Seem to be like I think they're better at quarterback than they were a year ago, and the
Missouri to me looks like Mississippi State as far as what's happening. All right, they beat Central Arkansas, they beat Kansas, they beat Louisiana, they beat South Carolina, 29-20. They beat UMass. They in the same situation that Mississippi State is in. They get Alabama, they get Auburn, they get Vandy, they get Texas A&M, they get Mississippi State, they get Oklahoma, and they get Arkansas. And like I said, I feel like that they are benefiting from being in such a strong conference. I think that once conference play start, then who they really are, which I don't. I feel like Missouri is a 8-4 team. I feel like that's where they're going to end up 8-4. I don't think they're going to beat Alabama. Um, I think the Vandy game is going to be tougher than they think. I don't feel like they'll beat Texas A&M. I don't feel like they'll beat Oklahoma. So with Oklahoma, A&M, and Alabama, I say that's three losses right there. The Vandy and the State game, them two games could be either two losses or one of them. I think Missouri goes 8-4.
and they very well could. I think they're interesting. Um, I did from when I watched that Kansas game, I just saw some things that I liked, But we live in such a week to week world now. You can be got it on any Saturday, and then once you drop one of those and your playoff chances go down, anything could happen. So I mean, I think that there's a lot of teams you can make a case that could be 11-1 or 8-4. And I think that, and I'm not saying Missouri can get to 11-1, but I think their ceilings. I think their ceilings 10-2 if things played out right for them.
I still don't. I'm still not sold of them being an SEC. That's the
Well, they
problem.
definitely are. Out of all the teams that's in it,
Just don't fit.
they're not the fit. Yeah,
They are a Big 12 team to me.
yeah. They're
Let's trade them and let's get TCU to the SEC.
TCU. You don't want Kansas for the basketball?
No. They just man. Let's either get TCU or let's get. I want another Texas team in there.
Well, that you tie in those rivalries to Arkansas from the old South. What is that? The old Southwest Conference. If you
Yeah.
get a TCU or somebody SMU or
Oh man.
uh,
It's just
Baylor or
Missouri.
somebody like that.
Missouri just don't. They just don't fit. They just like somebody that hung out with. Just like I just said, they're benefiting from being in a strong conference. They like somebody that hung with your family so long that people think that y'all brothers, and you have to tell them we're really not brothers. They just my mom used to work with his mom, and he just always stayed at our house. We're not related. That's how Missouri. That's how Missouri feels to me.
Well, I think in the next 5 years, you're going to see some. I think that you're going to see some pretty serious expansion. I think the ACC. I think the ACC is the next conference to get Pac-12,
Oh my
and
God.
then, but I also think that the Big 12 could lose some teams too. But
Exactly.
I think if we expand, I think you're going to see us take. I think the ACC teams are coming in.
It's bad enough that you have to see an Oregon versus Penn State for a division game. Can you imagine Clemson going to somewhere in California for a division game?
Yeah. Well, what Cal's in the ACC? Like, what sense does that make? Like, I think they could already. I'm pretty sure Clemson could right now because is Cal not in the ACC?
Let me
I think
check.
that's right. The Golden Bears. I mean,
Let's see. ACC teams. Pulling up their conference right now. Um, Stanford in California.
that's crazy.
That is
The
the dumbest
Atlantic.
thing. That's the
Stanford's
dumbest
in the
thing in the
Atlantic
world.
Coast Conference.
Oh my goodness. That'll be like, let's put Bruce and Mendenhall in the same division or what sense? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And they are the only two West Coast teams that are in the ACC.
Yeah.
Now
I mean,
SMU is in the ACC.
yeah.
We can't. We need to pull Miami out of the ACC and bring them to the SEC.
That's the one thing you have to give the SEC credit for is it seems every time they've expanded, even though
Yeah,
Missouri don't
it
feel like
makes
a fit
sense. But how long
geographically,
do
it
they
makes
sit
sense.
back and how long do they sit back and be like, okay, we're tired of making sense. We got to get some. We got to
Well, I
get some.
mean, they're the king. Like I think if they went into the Big 12 to get teams, it makes sense for them and they could do it. And if they wanted to go in the ACC and get Miami or Florida State or Virginia or North Carolina, it geographically that makes sense. And I think that's what they would do. They're not going to go grab Oregon State and be like, "Hey, come join." They're not going to do something like that.
The one team that I'm shocked that has never been in the conversation. I've always thought Memphis at one point would end up in the SEC, and it hasn't happened yet.
I don't know why Memphis ain't a Big 12 school. Like to me, that makes the most sense for them. You know,
I want an SEC because I'm tired of Memphis players. Uh, Let me continue with the scores. You got Texas A&M defeated Auburn 16-10. Indiana beats Iowa 20-15. Iowa State beats Arizona 39-14. You got Georgia Tech pulling off not an upset, but the comeback win over Wake Forest in overtime 30-29. Vanderbilt handled Utah State. Vanderbilt is doing what you're supposed to do. Win the games you're supposed to win. 55-35. Missouri beat Massachusetts 42-6. Illinois beat USC 34-32. Notre Dame said, Arkansas, come here, sit down, shut up, and don't go back outside. They pull out the woodshed on Arkansas and beat them 56-13. And you told me that the coach get fired.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said it was going to happen, and they are in shambles now. And BYU come back to defeat Colorado 24-21. Before we get out of the college game, before we get to the high school game, we were talking off air about Colorado, and unfortunately I stayed up to watch the game because I was doing some work last night, getting some stuff done around the house. And they play such late games, you'll be tired trying to watch all the games, but. My theory on Colorado is they're going to have to go get more experienced college football. I mean, I hate to say professional college football players, but they're going to have to get more professional college football players. I don't see high school players are not going to be successful with this coaching staff because this coaching staff is full of Hall of Fame players.
Expand on that though. Like, why is that?
I feel like with high school players. I feel like the intimidation,
Okay.
the perceived intimidation. Deion, think about it. You're a cornerback, and Deion Sanders is your head coach. In your mind, you're thinking it's almost how I used to be when I first started playing the keyboard. If I saw a real keyboard player walk in there, I'm nervous. Everything I hit, I'm wondering if it's right or if he's critiquing me. I think
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
they need more experienced players that's been around the college game. I think he's going to have he's going to have to dip into that transfer portal, and he's going to have to go after those division, those smaller schools and get those players out in those mid-major schools. You're not going to get you hit a lightning in the bottle with Travis Hunter. And you built that relationship. That was lightning in a bottle. You had Shador. That was your son. He wasn't going nowhere but with you. But now I just feel like the high school players, that intimidation is I don't think they fit well with the Colorado system.
And you would think that, having, which I know he had Travis Hunter out of high school, but you think you could package like, hey, we got a Heisman Trophy winner, we got guys into the NFL, that you could sell that in the portal and get some guys. But I don't care if you're not getting the financial resources to go get those guys. I mean, there's no point. But
And when you
and I
get
don't know, I don't know what they're. I read it was like 3 million. I think was what they were spending in NIL, and
which is
you're not
mind
going to be competitive.
mind-boggling to me because you with the influences that you have over people and how he is so easily can get anybody to come and donate. I mean, crap, look what he did to Jackson State. I
Yeah,
don't know. Many people haven't been down there. I went down there this summer. My son was there for a junior day, and their facilities is SEC. Man, it's one of the man to be. Their practice facilities is incredible. Their locker rooms is incredible. Man, it'll make you want to go to Jackson State. Their meeting
and
room,
I
incredible.
think they've upgraded a lot of that at Colorado too. I think he's had investment and they've spent money on facilities. I just don't think they've used money on roster. And um, I think that's all it would take to fix your some of your problems in today's world.
Coach Prime, you're gonna have to spend some money on some players. And I know one of his big things, that's the reason why he don't want to go to the NFL. But let's just face it, man, college football now has changed. And they're going to be think about it, some of these coaches don't even make per year what some of their players are going to be making.
Yeah.
That's the era that we're in now. Well, that is it for the college game. And before we go to the high school game, we want to introduce you to Clear Whey Protein Powder, a refreshing high protein drink that transforms your post-workout routine, crafted with pure whey protein isolate. This innovative formula offers a light and flavorful alternative to the traditional protein shake. With zero lactose and zero sugar, it caters to those seeking a clean, transparent approach to fitness nutrition without compromising on taste or quality. Go to www.clear, that's KLEAR, protein.com and order your protein today. But if you type in the promo code Coach25, you will get 25% off on your order. I'm the one. I'm done with the chalky protein. I had trouble stomaching it. If I could just mix it with water, shake it, and roll on with it, each pouch should give you 20 grams of protein. So go to www.clearprotein.com. Order your protein today. Use promo code Coach25 and get 20% off. As we roll to the high school game, man, as we talked about earlier, Bruce goes to 5-0. They defeated JC George in one of those games. It wasn't a real dominant performance. We did have a couple of penalties. We turned over the ball again. And it was one of those, man, I went to work, I got my pay, and I came on home.
Yeah, I didn't watch just a ton of it. Like I said, I conversated with friends and people, but what I did watch, I didn't think that it was like a sleepy game. I just thought we weren't crisp and as sharp as you'd like to be, but they did what they had to do, and I thought Josh looked really good throwing the football, and thought Gator ran it pretty well for him. Thought the Hatchet kid, he's proven every time he goes out there, he's running it harder and harder every time he gets it handed to him. So I thought they did what they had to do.
Gator had 12 carries for 105 yards. Trojans had 225 yards total rushing on that night and had 196 yards passing, and that boosted. That's 21 yards total. And if you're not paying attention, you'll be like, when did that happen? But it did. And Jermaine Jackson is back on track. He had 5 catches for 122 yards. So that 1,000 yards is still in view. But let's talk about Caden Jones. Caden Jones now is turning into a machine because when he elevates, there's nobody else that can jump with him out there. If I'm not mistaken, Caden Jones is about 6'2". He might be closer to 6'3". And his vertical leap is not bad. But when he goes up there with those big hands, he is a safety blanket for. Now, he did fumble the ball. Maybe he should have put it in his hands and not in his arms. But he did fumble the ball. But he is becoming a safety blanket for Joshua. Caden Jones had 4 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. But it's just the fact of the way he's moving the chains is what's been impressive to me.
Yeah, and they really love moving the pocket with Josh, and it seems like Josh is just able to find him, and it seems like Caden is going to catch it more than he's going to drop it at this point. So anytime you can have that percentage of targets to catch, and it's really high, and like you said, he's a big target that can get vertical too. It's got to be a comforting feeling for your quarterback to be able to know like he can look at his sometimes I'm like he's getting to like his third read on that. So I mean to get to your third read, be able to get rid of the ball and have a guy that's going to catch it on the third read, like that's not your number one choice. That's huge.
The one thing I've been impressed with Joshua on his throws is the rollout out route that he's throwing. To make that throw on the move. And I watched 3 of those. He threw 3 of them to Jermaine. Jermaine caught 2 of them. But when I say those balls right on the money, it was either going to the player or was going out of bounds. Because if you miss that throw, that's 6 points going the other way. And he's been able to roll out, and he's been hitting that throw. And that's one in high school football. That's one of the hardest throws to make, to be on the run and to hit that out route or the outside hitch or the outside comeback, and he's been putting it right on the money.
Especially, I think that it, even more, just as important as being on the money for that comeback is timing, and the fact that he's got the timing with it too. That's a big time type of throw. It's not. I wouldn't say that's like your highest percentage on the high school level throw, but they're able to make hay with it.
Well, we need to get some type of graphic because we're on the 1,000-yard watch now, and right now Jermaine is at 5:14. So we're on the 1,000-yard watch now. So we're gonna build something to where we can show where he's at week to week because he have an opportunity to do something that has only been done once. And
it's definitely on the table because they like targeting him vertically. Like it's not like he has to do it with a bunch of yak. Like they like him on the deep ball.
And if he continues at this pace, he will get that 1,000 yards, and that will be as a sophomore monumental. Mama Jackson might well get ready for knocks on the doors because when you got a kid that can do that, and if he keep his head on straight, and what I mean by that is just stay focused to the craft.
Right.
Most time with high school kids, it's so easy to get caught up in your own sauce.
Mm-hmm.
But you forget that you got to keep staring at it. If you don't keep staring at that thing, then it's going to sit down at the bottom, and it's not going to be good for nothing. So as long as he keeps staring the pot and continue to get better, the sky is the limit for the kid. Just to run down some stats on that night, Joshua was 10 of 16 for 196. Naquan was 9 carries for 49 yards. Freshman Hatchet, had 8 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown. Jermaine Jackson had 1 catch for 6 yards and a touchdown. James Gator had 12 carries for 105 yards and a touchdown. Joshua Long had 1 carry for 8 yards. Only 3 receptions on the night. Jermaine had 5 catches for 122. Aiden Welch had a catch for 3 yards, and Caden Jones had 4 catches for 71 yards. Marcus Brownlee is turning into a tackle machine. I wanted to see how many total tackles he got on the year because he is really he's turning into that type. Right now, he has 59 total tackles, which is well in range to eclipse that 100 yard. I meant that 100 tackle mark. And what's more impressive, he got 10 and a half tackle for loss on the season.
Yeah, that is impressive.
And Marcus is the type of player, once he hits you, and one of the things that if you close your eyes during that game, you heard popping. You
Yeah,
haven't heard that in Bruce in a while. Like
yeah,
you can hear the pops, and they are flying to the football. Tylen Eccles flying. Elijah Berry, sophomore Elijah Berry had the game of his life. He was at that. I think he was in one technique, and he was causing havoc. They moved Tylen Eccles to the defense, and the last play. I don't know if you was there for that last pass. Jay-Z George went back to pass on the last play, and Tylen Eccles kissed him in the mouth. I mean, he hit him so hard. I said, if you want to end the ball game, that is how you end the ball game. So, an impressive Tydarius Mitchell had an awesome game. They didn't. JB was out, and JD dressed out, but he didn't play, and they were able to handle business without. They was missing two key starters, two key starters on defense, and JD, the other running back. So we got a stable of running backs. So now it's time to talk about the big game. Water Valley comes into town, and let me shoot these numbers towards you. Man, when I was looking at this stuff, it blew my mind. Last year we lost to Water Valley 42-63. The year before that we lost 29-55. In 22 we lost 6-39. We didn't play them in 21, and then in 2020 we lost 45-0. 2019 we lost 48-0. 2018 we lost 42-0. Man, who was the offensive coordinator then? Goodness gracious alive.
wasn't me. Was not
So,
me.
who was the defensive coordinator? Who was coaching defense?
Well, one of those years, it's going to be either 17 or 18. That was their state championship team, and kind of like you had talked about the other night, where they scored like 5 touchdowns in 5 plays. It was exactly that. Like that was that Bud Tolbert, the wide receiver. Like they just throw it up. It didn't matter. You could put 4 guys on him. He was catching it. I think didn't he play at Southern Miss? I think, or he played. I think he played in the Sun Belt. He was a good player for him. I do remember that.
All right, at 17, man, that was some rough 3 years. In 17, we lost 46-6. Didn't play them in 16, didn't play them in 15. 2014, that was the year I was coaching here. We lost 21-32 over there on a obvious pass interference. I believe that was the game that Coach Ray got kicked out. And Walt Maddox said, I'm tired of this and I'm ready to go home. And he lit a guy up. 2013, which was Tay Strong and Trail senior year, they lost 16-22. And your senior year and junior year, man, it was rough. Y'all lost 16-17 over there and lost 19-20 over here.
And
then your sophomore year, you lost in overtime 7-13.
Yeah.
So in 2008, we beat Water Valley 33-14. That was the last time we beat Water Valley. We have lost 12 straight to the Water Valley Blue Devils. Do the streak end on Friday.
I think there's a good chance for it.
No, I don't want to hear no chance. I want to know, do the streak end on Friday night?
Well, I can't jinx
No,
anything.
no,
I can't jinx
no,
anything.
no.
I'm superstitious. I've got to be like, I can't, I'll say this much. I think that the recent history of this matchup has been a very offensive series, and I do think we're going to see some fireworks Friday. And I believe we're going to come out. I'll go ahead and say it, Coach. I believe we're going to come out on the right side of it this time.
Give me a score.
Let's go 38-32.
Oh, that's a lot of points. Let's see. Let me write that down. Then just say 38-32. I'm going to go in another direction, I don't feel like this. I don't feel like they're going to get it in the end zone many times. I have Bruce winning this ball game, 24-14.
Oh wow, that's a good
I
defense.
feel like I believe that they're gonna take the air out of the ball on both sides. I just got that feeling, and I feel like we win the ball game, 24-14, and we break the streak, and we can tear this paper up, and hopefully don't start another streak on the negative side. But this is going to be a huge game. I told my mom that you better get out there at 5 o'clock because the old days of when you played, when you had to get there early, Trojan fans, let me tell you, you better get there early. This is the biggest game.
I was telling one of my buddies the other night at the game, I was like, it's one of those that your hand's going to be tired thumbing through all the money counting the gate at the end of it. Like, I think both sides are going to, like, there was a great crowd for Bruce the other night, but, Jay-Z, that's a long ride. You don't get that away crowd. And I think Water Valley going to pack it. So
everybody
it's going to be packed. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's on deck. Everybody, it's on deck. We need everybody in the house on that night. This is the biggest game. This is the biggest game that we've seen here in a very, very, very long time. That was not a playoff game. Now, yeah. I do believe whoever went, no disrespect to the other teams in the division, but I just don't see that those other teams can match up with either one of these teams. Whoever wins this game, I feel like wins the division.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I kind of hate that this falls where it does. Like, I feel like this could have more. It could have some real build up to it if this fell like week 9 or 10, But I guess go ahead and get it out of the way.
Bruce wins on Friday night. They run the table to an undefeated season.
Who's beating them? I mean, I hate to be that way. I don't want anybody to hear this and just think like, you want to, we're the coaches. We're former coaches.
We can talk. We media.
You're one game at a time. Like, we're only worried about this game, but
no, not us. We do many games at a time. We already did the playoff scenario for that season for the NCAA. That's what we do.
The former coach in me, it's hard for me to look ahead, But if I had to, and I did today, I went and looked at the schedule. I think this is the game that's going to decide a lot of things. I don't think there's much meat on the schedule after this. No disrespect to anybody. I don't.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. East Union is still winless. Now, Myrtle is 4-1, but when you look at the quality of teams that they play, we don't really know how good Myrtle is. But nobody else on the schedule poses a real threat. And I do believe that this is the game of the year. This is the game of the year, I believe.
I'm with you on that.
All right, just to go over some other scores in the county. Calhoun City went to Shaw and just said, look, y'all just sit here. Let us do what we got to do, and y'all can go back to your regular schedule program. They won 44-0. Let's see, man. As I'm looking at the Russian, I think this fella's playing with me. He didn't even give him the ball this week, so I don't know.
Come on, man.
He didn't even give him the ball this week. I don't know if he was hurt or what, man.
He's messing with our trends.
Jennings, you gotta come. You gotta talk to us, man. He didn't even get a carry, coach.
He's trying to prove that the recipe ain't the recipe, but I mean, the numbers didn't lie.
Hey, but the numbers. He didn't, and he probably was out. If he didn't carry the ball, then that means our numbers are still legit. It's still.
That's true. He didn't break the. Yeah, that's true.
But they really didn't have to do much of anything. I think it looked like everybody that touched the ball scored a touchdown, and it really wasn't. Zay Pittman had 2 touchdowns. Harlem had a touchdown. Jamaris Hill had a touchdown. Sally had a touchdown. So it just really wasn't. They didn't really have to, exert a lot of energy. They only carried the ball 9 times.
Really?
They only carried the ball 9 times. I
That's
mean,
efficient offense right there.
they ran. This is what's going to blow your mind. They ran 16 plays,
Wow.
7 pass attempts, and 9 carries.
That is getting it done.
And that's
44
just
points.
that's let's score this touchdown. And so when you look at those stats right there, that's scoring on the first and second play.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's getting it done. That's a dominant performance. When you score 41 points off of 16 plays, you
Yeah.
talk about efficient.
Yeah, that's a high EPA.
Whew. Man. But no running back had over 30 yards, so they just kind of just shared the wealth with everybody. And Harlem did throw the ball 5. He was 5 of 5 for 109 yards. So it was just basically, hey, let's just get the job done and let's get on out of here. Let's not spend a lot of time in this 2 hours away from the home, and let's go on. Cal City next week, they play Hamilton at home. Then they go to Okolona, then they go to Vardaman, and then they play West Lowndes to finish out the season. I do believe they got a bye after this game against Hamilton. They have a bye, and then they come into the next week. So they're going to run the table the rest of the year. Neither of those teams are going to pose any type of threat, and it's just going to be more. It's just going to have to be the coaches keeping the kids motivated to make sure that they handle business on the playoff side and get to where they need to get to, because there will be nobody else challenging them this year. Senatobia was probably the only game that they ran into where they're going to be challenged. I don't see no other team challenging Cal City in the regular season. Just some more scores in our area. You had Choctaw dropping one to Kosciuszko, and I did see some highlights on that game, and it was the game was semi-close until a botch punt, and the kid got lit up too, man. He was fumbling and bumbling that ball, and they laid him down, and he let that ball go. But they lost to Kosciuszko 41-25. Water Valley beats up on Vardaman 41-8. Winona beat Amanda Elsie 41-8. You got Ripley over Boonville 21-3. Okolona beats Nettleton 27-6. West Point goes into Tupelo and give Tupelo their first loss of the season, beating them 28-21. North Pontotoc beat Kasuth 33-13. UPOR edged out one against Noxapater 14-12. You got Shannon over Saltillo 40-21. Pottscamp, Coffeyville almost got that first win of the season, but they weren't able to pull it off. They lose to Pottscamp 14-12. Our good friend Marty Warren is going through right now. Biggersville defeats them 41-6. You got Itawamba AHS defeating Aberdeen 34-18. And New Hope, man, they took all hope from Houston, beating them 63-18. Man, get well soon, Houston, because it is a rough year for you.
Yeah.
Beat South Pontotoc 53-6. You got Myrtle beating Walnut 35-16. East Webster beat Caledonia 43-23. New Albany beats Pontotoc 45-22. So that gives Pontotoc
their first
loss of the season. Oxford recovered from the Tupelo game and defeats Grenada 35-17. And we have Neshoba Central over Columbus 17-6. Stark will go down to Brandon and defeats them 22-14. Just a few scores in the Jackson area. Germantown went to Pearl and just said, you know what, y'all can focus on track. They beat Pearl 55-0. O'Bannon loses to South Delta 28-20. You got Madison Central defeating Warren Central 32-24. Macomb defeats Hazelhurst 47-14. Let's see. Trying to look at some scores that we need to keep an eye on. Let's see. We got the Brandon and Starkville score. Union defeats Lake 35-22. Forest defeats Scott Central 14-7. Northwest Rankin defeats Old Brook 28-20. And you got Sebastopol beating Pelahatchie 32-20. And you got Columbia defeating North Pike 36-0. You got Vicksburg defeating Yazoo City 34-12. And Jackson Murrah defeats Jackson Provine 21-6. And Taylorsville defeated North Forest 13-0. So that is the high school scores, and we're going to wrap up high school on that note right there. And let's spend just a couple of minutes in the NFL. And I really don't. I've had a bad NFL weekend, but to run down some scores. This morning, the Steelers, they were in, I think, Dublin. What is it?
Ireland.
Ireland. They defeated the Vikings 24-21. Carson Wentz did have a decent game. He had 350 yards passing, but it was just not enough. But DK Metcalf had his biggest game of the year as a Steeler, had 5 receptions for 126 yards and a touchdown. The Falcons defeated the Commanders 34-27. Michael Penix Jr. Eclipsed the 300-yard mark today. Very efficient, 20-26, 313 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Bills beat the Saints. Oh, man, you Saints fan, get well soon. I know it's looking bad. It's looking grim. 31-19, you are 0-4. Just want to tell my sister, you are 0-4. But I can't really talk. The Lions defeat the Browns 34-10. The Patriots defeated the Panthers 42-13. The New York Football Giants defeated the Chargers 21-18. And Jackson Dart accounted for 2 of those touchdowns. He threw for 1 and he ran for 1. I haven't had an opportunity to watch the games. I did hear a couple of interviews, but is it Dart season for the rest of the year?
It looked different. The little bit I watched, it looked different. Like, he just can do some things in the quarterback run game that gives them, an opportunity. If he'll take care of himself.
Yeah.
And then he had a couple throws that, it's hard to coach the way he evaded pressure, climbed the pocket, slinging it sidearm. He does things. I think he proved today it's his job.
Now, this is the only thing that the 10 carries. And Jackson Dart is not that. I don't think he's that type of runner, especially taking blows like that. Now, granted, Cam Scatterbo, he had 25 carries.
Yeah.
And they were trying their best to protect him. I see an instance where Russell Wilson did come in and threw a pass for 8 yards, but Jackson Dart was 13 of 20 for 111 yards. But the most important thing is they got the W.
Yeah, I don't want to misspeak, but I think he ran one time and kind of dinged himself trying to stiff arm somebody and had to come out for a second.
That's why, Mr. Dart, you're in NFL now, man. You're going to have to protect yourself. Definitely don't need him running the ball 10 times a game.
And he got down, a few times that I was like, he ain't going to get down. And he actually did. So he's getting better, but you got to be even better at protecting himself.
The Eagles improved to 4-0. They defeated the Buccaneers 31-25. Oh, man, the Texans defeated the Titans today.
And score a point.
26-0. And Cam Ward had some things to say.
Yeah.
And I understand the frustration is hard to not call out certain things, but you are the leader of the team. And if either you're going to get on board with what I'm trying to do, or the organization needs to make moves to get me players in here that's going to help us win.
Well, the only thing we can look for now is another number one pick. That's the only thing we're looking forward to.
Well,
So,
you're well on your way. You're about to get another one. So, do you keep Cam Ward if Arch Manning is available?
heck yeah. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not buying the Arch stuff. I'm not. I think what good's a quarterback if you don't have any explosive athletes around? For that, everybody in the NFL is explosive. But you know what I'm saying? Like, every time we've had franchise guys, we don't pay them. So we got to go draft some more franchise guys.
Are they trying to move out of Nashville? Because I don't understand
They're
what they're
building a
doing.
brand new stadium.
Oh, they're about to build one now?
It's in the process of being built. I think it'll be done in 2027.
So one of the things is, like you just said, not explosive players around. The receivers, unless you just really follow football, you don't know who the receivers are.
And I mean, I don't know how you expect to, if you're not going to make any moves to get you some, franchise type guys in there. I don't know how you expect to be competitive in a league like this. I mean,
And the Rams give the Colts their first loss today. They win 27-20. Jacksonville went to San Francisco and gave the 49ers their first loss. They went 26-21. That was a shocker. The Chiefs beat the Ravens 37-20. I'm just so sick of the same story with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm all for blowing this team up and starting over, because even in our height or even in our best moments, we didn't have enough to even get to the Super Bowl. Even when we were the number one seed, we still did not get to the Super Bowl. So I know Lamar Jackson's contract is too much to absorb right now, but I hate to say this, but they're going to have to part ways with Derrick Henry. I don't think they complement each other.
it's not been the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
What Baltimore wants to run is not Derrick Henry, especially.
No.
He's not a read guy. He's not one. Derrick Henry wants to be 8 to 10 yards back, and he wants a full head of steam. Now you got him 6'5" to 6, trying to be twinkle toes, get through and it's just not working. And they're not. I don't even understand how they use him. It'll be 3rd and 1, and he'll be on the sideline.
Yeah.
I don't understand. So if you're not going to use the big Derrick Henry, then at this point, trade him. Trade him, and if Justice Hill is where you're going to go, then just go with Justice Hill. But I feel like having Derrick Henry on your team, and he's not really helping. Now, the 3 fumbles didn't help Derrick Henry, and I think it's playing a huge, it's playing a part in their decision making, because his fumbles, 2 of them cost us ball games.
Yeah.
But I just think it's just time to part ways with him.
I mean, I don't listen to a lot of NFL right now because my team's so bad it's hard for me to just get really excited about it. But you might be the only person I know that's like, hey, blow this Ravens team up. So
Yes. It's just time to start over, because the thing is, the last 4 or 5 years, we haven't got over the hump. And we still got the same formula, and other teams are getting better. I mean, this Kansas City team, we were just talking last week, we thought that Kansas City, and they still don't feel like that they're up there, but we're just that bad.
I'm not buying them.
I mean, freaking Aaron Rodgers is leading the Steelers to a 3-1 record. It's just time to start over. And I feel like you can't get rid of Lamar Jackson's contract. It's too much. But it's just time to part ways with Derrick Henry, and let's just move on to something else. Not saying he's done with as a running back, but it just don't fit. Him and Lamar don't fit. They don't fit at all. And I think they force, and it causes a play caller to force things. In an interview, Josh Allen, just a good example. They was asking Josh Allen about his interceptions. And in so many words, he was basically saying, as long as Stephon Diggs was there, he was having to force the ball to him. And it was, when somebody's whining about the football and you forcing it to them, it's going to cause you to make some mistakes.
Yeah.
Now that he can just go find who's open, he's having. I mean, crap. He had an MVP year last year. It's kind of Steve Nash's, but he was MVP last year, and he's having a good year right now. And
Yeah,
both of those years happened with the absence of Stephon Diggs. Like his receivers is Keon Cole and Shakir and Elijah Moore. Those are his receivers, and
and
he's
they're
getting
for
better.
real. I think their window's definitely open.
Now I don't think they got enough to dethrone. And I'm pretty sure Patrick Mahomes, they'll get it figured out. I do believe they will make a move. I think they will make a move to try to get Tyreek Hill back to Kansas City. I just got a feeling that they will do that. I think I believe if the Dolphins lose tomorrow, I think they will fire their coach.
Yeah,
I believe tomorrow is a win, and you're still in. If the Jets pull, and I can't really call it upset, but if the Jets win tomorrow, I do believe that McDonald will be fired Tuesday morning.
yeah. They to me like early season blowing something up. Like just looking at it, that's where it may be time.
The Bears went to Las Vegas and they defeated the Raiders. And right now, the Packers are playing the Cowboys. The Packers are up 13-2. I really know how Cowboys fans feel now. They have expectations and get it knocked off. I get it. On tomorrow night, it is a doubleheader. You got the Jets traveling to Miami, 0-3 Jets versus the 0-3 Miami Dolphins. Fisher Ray, sorry, my man, but your Dolphins are terrible. The Bengals are 2-1. They will be traveling to the thin air of Denver to take on the Broncos, who is 1-2. So those are the two games tomorrow. So we got a big week coming up. We still will have our Thursday night pregame show. We will be posting on the different type of giveaways that we're going to do. And Friday night, we will do a live pregame show from Trojan Field. Me and the coach back to our regular stomping grounds, back to where we belong, but not on the field because we will probably mess it up. But we're just going to be close enough to where we can do the show and feel the aura of just to feel what winning feels like. But we're not going to get too close, so Trojan fans, calm down. We're not coming back to coach. You don't have to call the superintendent and say, look, those two guys that we did not have success with are on the field, and we need to remove them off the field. We're just going to be there to support.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's been a long time since Bruce fans have had this, and I think you need to soak all of it up. Don't take it for granted and get there early, be loud, and be ready to support.
Well. So, a good weekend of football, and man, if we don't get off, we'll be on here another hour talking about stuff, and that's the beauty about it, man. I'll be excited. When I was leaving church today, and I was like on my way back, and I'm sitting here playing stuff in my head, and I was like, I know my mom was probably terrified because I was driving faster than I need to be driving because I was trying to get home because I was trying to get here to get the show rolling, but. We do appreciate all the love and support. We want to let you know that we really appreciate it. We appreciate your feedback. So if you can, email us at coachandcoach@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about the show, what you want to hear, who you want to hear, what you want to see different, what you want us to cover. I did have one of the powerlifting coaches did mention, are y'all going to cover powerlifting, high school powerlifting? I said, I don't know how to cover it, but we'll figure out a way to do something. We'll mention it, but I really don't know how we're going to cover high school powerlifting. But hey, we'll figure out something. But that means everybody's looking at the show. And I heard before we get off, I heard you was the talk of the town because everybody was ready to get you to the concession stand.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I'm just standing in line, and a bunch of people like just come up like, you gonna review?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's playing," And uh, then everybody was like, "Oh, he's biased," and I was like, "Well, I mean, I'm a homer, man. I'm a Bruce Trojan, like But no, seriously, if you're at a game, that Bruce does a really good job of like if that's what my supper is going to be, it gets the job done. It was really good, and
Oh yeah, they give meals
um,
now.
it was just like it was just awesome seeing so many people I hadn't seen in a long time. Like I just had a really good time.
So we will be in the house, but we will see you guys on Thursday night. But make sure you get your ticket. If you want to get your ticket early, do what you got to do. I hope we sell out the place. I hope it be so many cars lined up that it takes you a long time to get out of there. Pack the house, make the place uncomfortable. We need you at Trojan Field on Friday night. But for those that's going to be there early, come and join us. Make some sign. Coach, they got a sign of me in my senior year. I was very, very, very upset over that. They had my senior picture blowed up. And I was like, these are some crazy individuals. But we are getting a buzz, and everybody. And if you can, and if you will, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Click on the Coach and Coach podcast, and then hit that subscribe button. And when you hit that subscribe button, set your notification. That way, when we do these shows, you won't miss a show. You won't miss a show. So once again, we appreciate all your support and all your love. Until we see you again, that is the coach here. Is it that way? Is it that way?
Nah, other way. Other way.
All right,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm looking at. My screen is messed up. His screen is messed up. Everybody's screen is messed up. But he is the coach. And he's the one to get this thing rolling. I'm the one that just, defense, you don't have to do a lot of planning. You just show up. Remember Coach Maddox.
That's a flat lie. Coach is carrying this thing. I'm just here.
Hey, Coach Maddox back in the day had one sheet of paper. That's all we needed, and we got the job done. But Coach Ray had a book, and I had to study and learn. So until we see you the next time, keep on living, keep on going. Don't drop the football, and if you do, pick it up. Don't sit there and look at the fumble. Pick it up. Life sometime will do that to you sometime. You will fumble sometime. Somebody might hit you hard enough, no matter how tight you got the football. But when you drop the football, pick the football back up. Don't sit there and look at it. Don't Cam Newton that thing. Pick it up, get back up, and let's go. Until the next time we see you, Coach Podcast, we are out of here.